Welcome to Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really critical exploration. We're looking at some significant and frankly quite impending shifts in U.S. travel and immigration fees.
That's right. And this isn't just about, minor tweaks here and there.
Exactly. We're talking about a substantial policy overhaul. It could genuinely reshape how millions of people approach visiting, studying, or even working in the United States. Our mission today really is to cut through the noise, give you a comprehensive understanding of these changes, and, well, make sure you're prepared for what's coming.
Because these new costs, they're poised to affect your travel plans, your budget.
Absolutely. And maybe even the broader landscape of international tourism and exchange to the United States.
Yeah.
We'll unpack not just what is changing, but why it matters and what it truly means for you. So let's dive into the details.
The big picture. What's changing and when?
Okay, let's start with the fundamental overview. What's truly driving these pretty significant changes, and when exactly do they kick in? This feels like more than just routine updates.
Well, what's particularly fascinating here, I think, is that these aren't isolated adjustments. Not at all.
Right.
We're looking at a series of new immigration-related fees. They were officially announced by the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, in a Federal Register notice back on August 28th, 2025.
August 28th.
And these fees, they're not standalone decisions. They are part of a much larger legislative effort known as H.R. 1.
H.R. 1, I've heard that mentioned. Some people call it the One Big Beautiful Bill. Controversially, perhaps?
Exactly. It's a package aiming to streamline immigration processes, but also bolster border security measures. So understanding that scope helps us see these fees not just as isolated changes.
But as one piece of a much bigger policy puzzle.
Precisely.
So H.R. 1 sounds like a really comprehensive piece of legislation. It's interesting that all these different immigration aspects are sort of bundled together like that.
It is. And that bundling often makes it harder to debate specific components like these fees individually.
Right. They get pushed through under the broader security narrative.
That's often the case.
So what's the key date then? The one we should circle on our calendars for these changes to take effect? What does it mean for anyone planning travel around then?
The key date you need to mark is September 30, 2025.
September 30th. Okay, very soon.
Yes. This is when many of these fee increases will become applicable. So for you listening, this means if you plan to travel to the U.S. or apply for certain services on or after this date, well, these new costs will very likely apply.
Okay.
It impacts various entry procedures, from quick tourist visits to more extended stays for study or work.
That really does sound like a systemic shift, not just a few minor tweaks. Given how many people rely on these processes, which specific programs or systems are we talking about? Like things overseen by CBP, Customs and Border Protection. Which ones are at the heart of these fee adjustments?
Indeed, these changes touch several familiar processes that many international travelers encounter regularly.
Okay.
Connecting this to the bigger picture, what are the most immediate impacts will be felt by those entering via the land border?
Ah, okay. Land border crossings.
Yes. The CBP Form I-94 fee is seeing a significant jump. This is, a common requirement for individuals crossing into the U.S. from Canada or Mexico by land.
Right, the I-94.
And it's been a relatively stable cost for a long, long time.
Breaking down the CBP fees.
Okay, let's zero in on the exact numbers then. A significant jump for the I-94 fee. That sounds like something travelers really need to know for their budgeting. What's the specific increase?
Okay, so currently the fee for the I-94 is just $6.
$6.
With the new H.R. 1 fee, there's an additional $24 surcharge being added.
$24 extra.
Yes, bringing the total to $30.
Wow, from $6 to $30. That's a five-fold increase.
It really is a substantial jump. Think about it, like a family of 4 coming from Mexico or Canada for a day trip. What used to be a $24 fee for their I-94s,
yeah,
it's now $120.
Oof. That's a huge difference for a quick trip across the border.
It certainly is. And it definitely raises questions about, encouraging that cross-border commerce and tourism from our closest neighbors.
No kidding. Okay, so $30 for the I-94 starting September 30th. What about travelers using the visa waiver program, people using ESTA? Many rely on that for simpler, shorter visits. What are they looking at?
Right. For those using ESTA, the electronic system for travel authorization, the fee is nearly doubling.
Doubling? From what?
It's going from the current $21 to a flat $40.
$40.
Yeah.
Okay. That's almost a 90% hike.
Pretty much. And this really raises an important question, especially given how popular the visa waiver program is. It allows citizens from about 42 countries to visit without a traditional visa.
Yeah, it's designed for convenience.
Exactly. And these travelers who usually experience relatively straightforward, cost-effective entry, they're now facing a significantly higher cost. It could definitely influence their choice of destination.
You might see people thinking twice, maybe looking at Europe or Canada instead if the cost keeps climbing.
It's certainly a possibility, especially for budget-conscious travelers or families.
Okay, so ESTA goes up to $40. And there's also a brand new fee, I understand, specifically for Chinese 10-year visa holders. Something that wasn't there before.
Absolutely. The EVUS filing, that's the Electronic Visa Update System, it's mandatory for Chinese citizens holding B1, B2 visas.
Right.
Previously, this update system, it didn't have any fee associated with it.
Zero cost.
Correct. But under the new changes, it will now come with a mandatory $30 enrollment cost.
$30, so a completely new financial requirement for a very large group of travelers.
A very large segment, yes. It adds another layer of expense and, frankly, another administrative task to their planning.
So, yeah, these really aren't just minor tweaks. They are significant financial hurdles being added or dramatically increased across different types of travelers. It makes you wonder, what's the official reason? What's the justification given for these increases?
Well, according to the Department of Homeland Security, the stated intention is to fund crucial immigration system upgrades and to bolster border security.
Okay, upgrades and security, that sounds reasonable on the surface.
Right. The idea is to modernize, enhance the infrastructure, the processes that manage international arrivals and departures, make the system more efficient, more secure.
But I sense a but coming.
Well, yes. While DHS cites those reasons, many policymakers and analysts see this differently, or perhaps see more to it.
How so?
They view it partly as an indication of increasing strain on existing budgets, maybe signaling a strategic shift towards more user-funded immigration services, rather than purely taxpayer-funded ones.
So shifting the cost burden more directly onto the traveler.
That seems to be part of the picture, yes. It could set a precedent for how future immigration services are financed.
The visa integrity fee, a broader impact.
And beyond those specific CBP fees we just discussed, there's another substantial and completely new change coming. It's a $250 visa integrity fee being rolled out. This is a really crucial detail for many of you listening, especially if you're planning longer stays or specific types of visits.
$250 for a visa integrity fee. Wow. So that's a lot to add on top of everything else.
Yeah.
What does integrity actually mean here? How's it assessed?
That's a really sharp question because the concept of integrity here is, well, it's actually quite debated among experts right now.
Right.
DHS states it's to ensure the integrity of applications, prevent fraud, make sure visitors comply with their visa terms.
Right.
But immigration lawyers are asking, what's the precise mechanism? Is it new vetting processes, or is it just a blanket surcharge on the existing ones?
So it's a bit vague.
It is, and the concern is that without really clear guidelines, it could be perceived more as a revenue-generating tool than a direct measure of an applicant's actual integrity.
And what about getting it back? Is it refundable if you follow all the rules?
That's another key point of discussion. There's significant skepticism about its refundability, even if visa terms are fully complied with. The lack of clarity there is problematic for planning.
So it's not just the amount, but the ambiguity around its purpose and how it actually works that's causing concern.
Exactly.
Who exactly is this new $250 fee targeting? Is it for everyone or specific groups?
It impacts a very wide range of non-immigrant visa categories, a really wide range.
Like who?
We're talking tourists on B visas, business travelers, students think F1 visas.
Okay, students too.
Yes, exchange visitors on J1 visas, and even temporary workers like H1B applicants.
H1Bs as well. Wow, so it's definitely not just leisure travelers.
Not at all. It profoundly affects people coming for education, cultural exchange, critical temporary work.
The broad application does sort of suggest that maybe beyond just integrity, it's also a way to boost revenue across a big chunk of the non-immigrant population.
That's certainly how many are interpreting it, yes.
Given how broad it is, are there any exemptions? Or is it pretty much universal for these non-immigrant visa holders?
Yes, there are some important exemptions you should definitely note.
Okay.
Citizens of visa waiver program nations, those roughly 42 countries, they are exempt from this particular fee.
So if you're traveling on ESTA, you face the higher $40 ESTA fee, but not this extra $250.
Correct. You avoid the $250 integrity fee. Also, most travelers from Canada and Bermuda are exempt from this specific fee, too.
Right, because of their unique travel agreements.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good to know. And when is this significant $250 fee expected to actually take effect? It sounds like something that could really alter planning for a lot of people.
Yeah, the DHS hasn't specified an exact implementation date for the visa integrity fee just yet.
Oh, okay. Still pending.
Still pending, but it's expected possibly as early as October 1st, 2025.
October 1st. So potentially very soon after the other fees kick in.
Potentially, yes. And this rapid rollout possibility, combined with that skepticism about refunds, it really raises questions about the practical application, the fairness of such a fee, especially for those making long-term plans for study or work. It's a significant, potentially unexpected cost.
Broader industry impact and concerns.
Okay, here's where it gets, I think, really interesting and maybe quite concerning for some sectors. These changes aren't happening in a vacuum, right? The travel and tourism landscape has been incredibly dynamic, especially recently.
Absolutely.
So what are the broader implications here, particularly for the tourism industry in the U.S., which has already faced, well, its share of challenges?
The tourism industry reaction is one of significant and pretty vocal concern.
Yeah, bad.
Analysts are warning that these substantial cost increases might further depress inbound travel to the U.S. We've already seen a decline, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, international visitor numbers, for example, in July 2025 were down 3.1% year over year. And maybe more critically, visitor spending is projected to fall from about $181 billion in 2024 down to under $169 billion this year.
Wow. So spending is expected to drop significantly.
Yes. And these new fees are certainly not seen as helpful in reversing that trend. History shows us, things like previous visa tightening or economic downturns, that even relatively small cost increases can have a magnified impact on traveler decisions.
Especially for budget-sensitive markets, I imagine.
Exactly. Major tour operators, hotel chains, particularly those catering to international groups, they're already expressing serious worries about this.
So we're already seeing a decline in visitors and spending, and these new fees could potentially accelerate that trend even further. Are there other concerns being raised by industry experts, maybe less obvious ones?
Yeah, there's a big concern about the administrative burden, which goes beyond just the financial cost.
The hassle factor.
Kind of, yeah. The additional fees, combined with potential procedural complexities, it might deter what some call cursory travelers.
Cursory travelers.
Yeah, people like families planning a holiday, students maybe thinking about study abroad for a semester, smaller business delegations. People who are particularly sensitive to price surges and added complexity.
Right. If it gets too expensive or too complicated, they might just choose somewhere else.
Precisely. For a family of 5 needing multiple ESTAs or I-94s, those costs suddenly add up very quickly. It's about the overall perception of value, the ease of travel. Any additional friction can lead to losing potential visitors.
And losing the cultural exchange and, the soft power benefits they bring too.
That's a really important point as well.
And looking ahead, the U.S. is set to host some huge global events soon. The FIFA World Cup in 2026, the LA Olympics in 2028. What's the potential impact of these policies on those massive opportunities? It seems like a critical moment to be welcoming people, not putting up barriers.
Yeah, this timing raises a really important question about global competitiveness, with events like the World Cup and the Olympics on the horizon.
Huge tourism draws.
Exactly. This policy shift might negatively affect that inbound tourism momentum just when we should be arguably encouraging it the most. These events are massive opportunities, billions in potential revenue.
But higher costs could dampen that potential significantly.
It could. If you compare this to, say, the efforts in Europe's Schengen area to streamline travel or Canada's focus on welcoming visitors, the U.S. risks appearing less welcoming, more expensive.
Pushing potential visitors elsewhere.
It's a definite risk.
Now, while the industry is obviously worried about declines, is there an argument that maybe for some visitors, like high-skilled workers coming long-term, or maybe PhD students, these fees are just a drop in the bucket compared to their overall costs, and maybe the increased security is a net positive for them?
That's a valid point, and it's definitely part of the discussion. For someone investing tens of thousands in U.S. education or relocating for a high-paying job,
a few $100s might seem negligible.
It might. And for them, perhaps the perceived benefit of better security or more efficient system could be seen positively.
Yeah.
But The broader sentiment from the travel and tourism industry suggests that for the vast majority of visitors, leisure, family, shorter-term business travelers, these fees add significant friction and cost. So, while a specific segment might be less affected, the aggregate impact is still projected to be negative for overall inbound travel numbers.
What this means for you, key takeaways and actionable steps.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. What does this mean for you, our listener? Whether you're planning a holiday, thinking about studying here, maybe considering working in the U.S., let's distill the essential takeaways so you can navigate this.
Right. So first key takeaway. New CBP fees for I-94, ESTA, and EVUS services are applicable from September 30, 2025. Mark that date.
September 30th, got it.
Anyone applying on or after that date faces these increased costs. Some, like the I-94, are substantial jumps.
Okay, point one.
Second, that $250 visa integrity fee is expected for many non-immigrant visa applicants potentially as early as October 1st, 2025. This further increases costs for a very broad spectrum of visitors, students, workers, many tourists.
Right, the one with the uncertain implementation date and refundability.
Exactly. So bottom line, this adds significant financial hurdles. It may reduce international travel to the U.S., particularly heading key markets like India, China, Mexico hard.
So travelers and industry players, too, really have to factor these new fees into their plans and budgets going forward.
Absolutely crucial.
These are essential points to remember. Now, for the practical side, what should travelers actually do right now? How can people prepare or respond to these changes? What are the actionable steps?
Okay, we've put together a few crucial steps for you to consider.
Great.
Number one, plan ahead. If you're considering applying for something like ESTA or maybe certain visas before September 30th, try to lock in the current lower rates if you can.
Get in before the deadline if possible.
Exactly. It could save you a fair bit of money, especially if you're traveling as a family.
Okay, plan ahead. What's next?
Number two, budget accordingly. This sounds obvious, but it's vital. Factor in the new I-94 cost, the higher ESA or EVUS fee, and that potential $250 visa integrity fee when you calculate your total trip costs.
Don't get caught by surprise.
Right. Have a clear picture of the full financial commitment.
Good advice. Number three.
Third, stay informed. Keep a very close eye on official updates from DHS, especially regarding that visa integrity fee, the exact date, any clarifications.
Right, because details might still evolve.
They might. And also be prepared for any potential additional documentation requirements that might pop up as these new policies roll out.
Stay updated. Makes sense. Anything else?
Yes, fourth and finally, consult experts. For complex situations, if you're unsure how this affects your specific visa type or travel plans, consider talking to an immigration consultant or an experienced travel planner.
They can offer personalized advice.
Exactly. They can help you navigate the updated fee structure, understand specific exemptions, and plan your timelines effectively based on your individual circumstances.
Outro. So this policy shift really marks a significant change in U.S. travel and immigration costs. It creates new financial considerations for literally millions of travelers worldwide. It's a complex situation, definitely, with implications not just for individual budgets, but for the broader economy and, frankly, the U.S.'s appeal as a global destination. We heard the increased costs are aimed at system upgrades and security, which sounds necessary on one level, but they arrive at a time when international travel to the U.S. is already seeing a bit of a downturn.
That's the critical context.
Yeah, which raises, I think, a provocative question for you to consider. In an increasingly competitive global tourism market, will these new fees ultimately prove to be a necessary investment in national security and infrastructure? Or could they become an unnecessary barrier that ends up pushing valuable international visitors, students, and workers towards other shores?
Indeed. That interplay between the increased fees and those current travel trends is something we'll absolutely continue to monitor closely here. We really encourage you to think about how these changes might impact your own future plans, to plan proactively using those steps we discussed, and importantly, to always stay informed about the official announcements as they come out.
Definitely. Understanding these shifts is absolutely key to making well-informed decisions about your travel and potential immigration to the United States.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into these really important updates. We genuinely hope this information helps you navigate the evolving landscape of U.S. travel and immigration with a bit more confidence. All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter again.